Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Idiots Reading Comics. This week is going to be Cyborg Imitation of Life, and this is going to be episode 32. Thank you for joining us in our endeavor to try to do our best here and talk about comics with y'all. But to do that, we need y'all to engage, which you can do that at Two Idiots RC on Twitter and Instagram. And then I watch our YouTube on Two Idiots Reading Comics. And then also you can find us anywhere on Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts at Two Idiots Reading Comics, and also on Facebook now. So please come join us, talk, communicate. This is what we want it to be, is to engage with y'all, the audience. So please come, enjoy, and let's get into it.
And welcome to episode 32 of Two Idiots Reading
Woohoo!
Comics. Cyborg.
Yeah, man. Cyborg.
And just to add on what you said in the intro, about like commenting and all that stuff, we recently had a guy, for the life of me can't remember his name. Remember, we're back in December.
Yeah.
This is February for you. But we had a guy subscribe to our YouTube channel and left about like 4 different comments on our videos, and he gave us some recommendations for stories to read and stuff like that. And so, I mean, that's literally all you have to do. He left one comment and said, "Hey, you should check out Batman White Knight next month in March." Guess what we're going to be reading for the second week?
Batman White Knight.
Exactly. So if you got something you want us to read, it's that simple.
It's that simple, guys.
But he also subscribed, which is helpful.
Yeah. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the stars, whatever it takes. And then we'll put up your comments, or we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And maybe do some of your suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, one of my favorite characters, Cyborg. Again, Titans, Teen Titans. Probably is what got me into comic universe.
Have you started rewatching that on HBO Max yet?
I tried. I just
is it you couldn't watch it, or just something else?
Something else. I'm trying to watch.
I've watched it, and
I've got probably a dozen shows right now that I'm like, oh, I'm on this episode. What I feel like.
Cartoons alone, I've been trying to. I never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender all the way, and so I'm trying to.
What?
I was just like, when I was a little kid, like, I think I had a TV in my room, but like I couldn't stay, and I just wasn't smart enough to figure out, oh, new episodes come out on this day, because like we didn't. Remember, we didn't have the internet and stuff like that.
So I mean, it was literally TV guide.
I was like, oh, that show I like is on. Oh, it's a rerun, or oh, I obviously missed a few episodes.
I remember. I know this is out of context, but Avatar: The Last Airbender, when it came out on Nickelodeon weekly, it was during the fall. I was in 8th or 9th grade. And it was either the third season, whatever the last season was. Yeah. I was, either way, I would go, it came out on Friday nights. Yeah. And I would always go to the...
if it was 8th or 9th, and you said 8th and 9th grade?
8th and 9th grade.
I think it was a little bit, maybe like 7th and 8th. Maybe 7th and 8th. Because, like, 6th and 7th grade were, one of those was like my sister's senior year of high school, and she was in the band, and so I was at the high school football game every Friday night, which would explain why I didn't see some of the episodes.
Well, I would always go to the Friday night games because my parents just loved watching our high schoolers. And
also, you were super small school. If you were you were on the high school team, even though you were in like 6th grade.
Pretty much. Yeah. But in saying that, I would miss the original airing. Yeah. But Nick on Dish, when I was younger, or now, they had an East Coast and a West Coast channel. Uh-huh. And I knew that if we made it home by 10 or 10:30, I could watch it that night. Shit, no. And I got, because of that season, and I would watch it, and if I missed it, I would stay up. But it would come on like first thing Saturday morning, and I would watch it.
But I've been trying to rewatch that. I'm trying to go through Clone Wars, which I finally got to the 2nd season.
Yeah, you gotta get
so much better
than
the first.
Season 1.
And then immediately after that, I have to go into Rebels.
Yep.
And then Big Mouth just came out with its new season, which is
already finished.
Not a kid show.
Not a kid show.
But
it is not a kid show.
It was a cartoon I was watching. And then there's like one other. No, I rewatched seasons 1 and 2 of Young Justice.
Yep.
Just so I could get to the season 3.
Yeah.
And I did that in like a week.
Yeah, I've got Young Justice, Ben 10. I'm on like the third variation of Ben 10.
Yeah.
Did Big Mouth. Trying to do Big Bang Theory, Supernatural, Grey's Anatomy.
Supernatural, you're gonna be there for a while.
Oh, I've already watched it like 3 times, but I want to watch it again because the final season is now on Netflix. So I want to go into it fresh. But that's 15
that's
seasons.
on HBO Max.
It's been on Netflix forever. I don't know if they're going to lose the rights or not, but
I would imagine because all the
CW is a Warner Brothers company. Riverdale's on Netflix.
Yeah.
So maybe not. We digress.
But yeah.
Cyborg was what was in Teen Titans, and I loved him because he was a football player.
Yeah.
He was a teen. We were kind of in that age of Teen Titans. Yeah. He was in that age group where we were starting to become football players, going into junior high and high school where we were getting to play, and kind of some of the things kind of resonated with us a little bit. But I guess we should give credit where credit's due first.
Yeah.
Writer John Semper Jr.
Yeah.
Pencilers Paul Pelletier, Will Conrad, Timothy Green II, Alan Jefferson, Derek Donovan. Inkers Tony Cordos, Sandra Hope, Scott Hanna, Tom Palmer, Will Conrad, Joseph Silver, Derek Donovan. Colorist Guy Major. Hi-Fi, Ivan Nunez. Letterer Rob Lee. Collection cover artist Will Conrad and Ivan Nunez, and created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We gotta find some less artists and shit, man.
I know. I don't.
We spend 5 minutes doing that.
I know. Hey, sometimes we need that 5 minutes.
Yeah. But
so you read this when it originally came out?
Yeah. This again, like we've talked about many times. When we were in college and started getting back in, or I got into comics.
Yeah.
Rebirth was happening, and they restarted Cyborg.
Yeah.
And so I went straight to number 1. I probably got like the first maybe 15 or 20 of this series.
Yeah. And then we ran out of money.
So this is my second time reading this, and I really enjoy Cyborg. I have some issues with this comic.
Yes, it is.
And I think we share the issues.
At times, explanation. Yeah,
exploring.
Over explanation, and sometimes the dialogue is just like, all right, that's kind of not that great.
My biggest thing is when he's fighting with, does he have a soul or not?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big point of Cyborg's.
Seems like
everyone
that
Teen
writes...
Titans even had a whole episode where it was just Cyborg dealing with almost this exact same thing.
Seems like everyone that writes Cyborg has one story arc about that.
Yeah. And when he went and met Blue, I love where they went with that, but I think they drew it out a little too long.
Yeah, that was like a whole issue.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, why are you doing that? It was either at the same time as it's too much for one issue, but at the same time, how do you abandon it after one issue?
Correct.
That should be a theme through the whole.
But they kind of did
story arc.
They kind of did abandon it.
Yeah. It's like, he listened to some music and started feeling good again.
Yeah, and then,
which I do like the fact that they incorporated Detroit and jazz and stuff like that.
Oh man, that was, I love the way that Blue described it. It's like, yeah, you might be able to
jazz is
register every song in your brain at the same time, but hearing it live, hearing it through a
and
human.
Jazz is the whole genre of music is about improvisation.
Yeah.
And the flaw is not hitting everything right.
Right.
They're basically a big jam band.
Yeah.
And they're just playing off of each other.
And I love it. And then you only get another instance of his kind of soul with Blue when when Cyborg takes Blue to the
the vet home or whatever for
the
disabled vets.
the veteran home.
Yeah.
And they all say happy birthday or thank you, Cyborg. And that was a quick hit.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of internally fights with it about what his dad said about him.
Yeah.
That hurt because he was fighting. It's been 5 years. So this comic takes place 5 years after he changed or he becomes Cyborg.
Yeah.
He's already we did the story Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League War.
So he's already fought with the Superman, Batman, all the others, and now he's kind of trying to become himself.
Yeah.
And he fights malware, and it takes him into Star Labs and
the secret compartment where like his source code is.
Yeah. And
but then also there's a random recording of his dad saying, "Did I save my son's life, or did I just create a robot that took on his personality?
Has no soul, no heart.
Yeah.
And he's just there. And then it leads into Blue and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What hurt was the girl, Sarah.
Yeah.
Is his ex-love.
Yeah.
And I don't
remember.
remember.
Why didn't she say anything, though?
Well, I think it was kind of the whole point of the whole reason of why his memory was erased or blocked in the first place was I think it would be too traumatizing. Like, then now he's going to have to fight with, wait, why haven't you told me? I've been with you for 5 years here. Why won't you tell me anything? Like, and then maybe she thinks that he'll then resent her for not telling him.
Since you've read further than I have, do they address that at all?
I don't even remember. Okay. Like, it's been, we did that back in 15.
Yeah.
16.
2015, not when we were 15 or 16.
Yeah. There's been a lot of sleeping and drinking and shit since then. So things get lost.
Yeah.
But I do remember the female Cyborg ends up screwing up a lot of shit.
Well, yeah, she's like supposed to be the bad guy, isn't she?
She ends up being a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because because Cyborg's father,
he gets replaced.
Silas.
Yeah.
He's kidnapped by a robotic Silas, and he ends up corrupting the code for the female Cyborg.
Yeah.
That then tries to screw up and fuck up everything.
Yeah. Which I thought, like, it was getting kind of dense, and I was just kind of like, all right, there's a whole lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot happening. But then that happened, and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
That's kind of one of the critiques I have with the way they did this story was, all right, you want to talk about Cyborg's fight with his internal self.
Yeah.
1 and 2 issues. One or two issues. They drug this out over 5 issues.
Yeah.
And then go, oh, here's a real story. Here's the story then we're going to go into in volume 2.
And,
but it took 5 issues to get to that when they could have done it in 2 and then given you 3, 4, and 5 as a go forward.
But my only real complaint was the way, what was it, Kilgore? That dude, like, I've heard of some talkative villains, but that shit
dude, he rambled for pages and pages and pages.
I was like, if you were a real villain, you wouldn't be giving your whole damn plan to...
Giving his master's plan and all this shit. Just and their master is Silas. I do remember Silas.
Is the robot Silas?
The robot Silas.
I figured.
But I don't know. I did like where they put him in his mind, his own memory.
Yeah, I thought that was
fight his own maze,
and they were trying to turn him against humans by that.
Yep.
And at the same time, he was going crazy in the real world
because his safety features kicked
in. Suddenly, people would be like, "You're dangerous," which would, if the mind trick didn't, that would be what would turn against him and stuff like that.
So off of this, just reading these first 5 issues, would you go and get volume 2? With the way this went.
Just off of reading this, I might give volume 2 a chance, but we're also here in 2020, and I know that this eventually got canceled.
Yeah, I don't think it made it past 30.
Yeah, so
I don't even know if it made it that far.
Probably will not.
I'll tell you, if I had the money when we were doing it before we just cut off all of our pull list, this was one of the ones that I was going to cancel.
Really?
I love Cyborg and I love his origin and his idea,
Mm-hmm.
but like we've talked about, they harp on this soul identity thing, or not even the soul, but just his internal conflict.
Yeah.
Too much. Like they don't give him
that
a
should
purpose.
be like,
They don't give him a villain to go after. They don't give him.
that was like one thing I did or have a complaint about. And I obviously they're leading you to buy volume 2, but
Well, right.
he never got his, other than that where he listened to jazz for one night and I'm fine. He never got that full realization of, okay, I am a man with a machine. I'm not all machine and stuff like that.
And when the female cyborg comes along, he grapples with that for the next volume. And then if I remember correctly, then he ends up figuring out Silas is a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes and tries to save his father, but there's so many other derelict robots there, cyborgs, that then he kind of reverts back to, oh, maybe I am a machine. And then he fights out of that again. It just...
Yeah.
They never give him a villain, or they never give him...
They never give him his full circle of...
Yeah.
Okay.
It never gives him I wouldn't say a purpose, but almost a purpose. They don't give him a purpose for being a superhero.
They don't give him the payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For him now to be considered the original Justice League members,
yeah,
he doesn't get...
And we talked about it when we read...
Justice League.
No, Justice League and Teen Titans.
Judas Contract. Yeah.
Cyborg was created as a C-list character.
Yeah.
But the more and more technology has advanced, you're like, well, that power set actually is a lot more powerful than it was in the 70s when he was created. So we might as well bring him up.
Oh, and
he's not going anywhere the way we're going in real life. So
and I could see some of that in this. They talked a lot about how he could hear all computers, all processors.
Yeah.
And he could feed off of all
that
like
and
access any database
in a nanosecond.
And that's kind of the way, like back then in the 70s or 80s when he was created.
Yeah.
Phones, like the biggest memory chips were like 500 megabytes or less.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got chips that 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes, and that's like minuscule compared to what things are. So I really, when I first found out he was in the Justice League, it kind of hurt me. Not hurt me, but kind of,
because you wanted him.
Because I was like, man, he's a Teen Titan. He's a founding member or that. But then we have the discussion of, technology has changed, so he has to change with it.
Yeah.
And it fits. It's beautiful. I mean, it's the way it should be. But yeah, this one, I would like him to give him like his real, being a power member now.
Yeah.
I feel like they should give him like Superman's always fighting whoever. Batman's always fighting the Joker.
Yeah,
or
he's got a...
Flash is always fighting Reverse Flash.
That's the one thing with anytime you try to call up a lower, like a C-list or B-list superhero, is like, well, we didn't really give him like all the good ideas of villains because
he was a team. Well, one, he was also on a team that had other villains.
Yeah. And B, they always go to like the big guys if you got a good idea of a villain.
Right.
And so I think that's what you're going to have to do if you want a sustained Cyborg story. And I don't know what you would do because obviously at the same time, the obvious thing would be some like a hacker or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's also so on the nose it's kind of corny.
Yeah, because they just going to have a hacking war inside their brains and not actually fight and have any page dialogue?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's why when I write comics, I don't really have a whole lot of ideas for established characters. I think I sat there and thought about it one day when I was supposed to be doing work. And I was like, the only real idea I have for a character I would not be creating is I have an idea for Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's the only character I have an idea for.
I got you.
And that would be like a mini-series. I'm not doing continuous on that.
No. Now, something I wanted to critique about the artwork here is the original, the story's kind of written or drawn like an early 2000s comic.
Yes.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and then like the very last issue.
Well, it's not even at the like
No,
an
it's
issue
not
break.
even the
It's in
issue
the
break.
middle of an
It's
issue.
in the middle
Because I
of the
remember
last
when I was
issue.
reading this hard copied,
Mm-hmm.
it was just in the middle of the issue. It then reverts back to, I called it cartoony. I mean,
it
it's
was very
literally
much.
very like he goes from being bulky to then his face becomes very slender.
Yeah, it was like
I don't even know how to describe
mid
it.
2000s Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Cartoon Network now, they have their very distinct style. But if you go like mid 2000s, like the stuff we grew up, it was more of that kind of.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was very odd and out of place and
Mhm.
kind of took
Yeah, it
away
did.
kind of took away from the story for me.
Yeah, it did. Like I noticed that I was like, what? Like what happened here?
Yeah, and I think it kind of took a little bit from the story, changing so
Yeah.
drastically. And why would you do that? Why
The only thing I can think of is someone got fired.
in the
Or
middle of the comic, like in the
emergency.
middle of the issue?
They could have got canceled. Who knows? Or something like an emergency in the family or something like that, and they didn't have anyone that was like close to his art style.
Man,
So.
it's a drastic change that I think took a lot
Does it-
away from the story.
No, I tell you what, it was more like the Fairly Odd Parents.
That's it.
That's-
Yeah,
yeah.
more like Fairly Odd Parents, because it was
Yeah.
originally the way it started was more like the original Teen Titans type
Yeah, yeah.
artwork. Then it went to Fairly Odd Parents type cartoony.
Yeah.
But other than that, I love Cyborg.
Yeah.
But I think they can do a lot more with him in comics.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are doing it in the
They're
movies
gonna have
and
to
stuff,
get-
but
They're gonna have to get him like you said, like a
he's got to have his villain.
Yeah,
like
you have to have
Reverse
his-
Flash is Flash,
his
and
arch
Joker is
nemesis,
Batman.
Yeah. And I don't know what it would be, but he needs something good.
Kilgore, I feel like could have worked, but Kilgore also was too much of a lackey.
Yeah.
Like he was always referring to Master, always
Mhm.
referring to his creator.
Mm.
So I think that was it. Couldn't be like a lackey or a creation thing
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know.
Brainiac, not Brainiac.
Who him versus Brainiac would be a good story though.
That could work. Yeah,
Because
that would
Brainiac's
work.
been
Yeah.
a robot in many different times.
Ooh, yeah.
Or I think he is a robot, just
think
with
he
a
is a
brain, alien brain.
That could
I don't
work.
know. Yeah.
But
But
but that's my critique with it.
Yeah. So next week we're going to our continuous.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Venom.
Donny Cates
Yep.
Venom
Volume
Volume 2.
Yeah.
Been having a hell of a time reading that.
Yeah.
We will have a couple of announcements regarding
The Venom story arc.
Donny Cates loves some crossovers.
God dang it.
Considering he is also writing a story right now that's pretty awesome called Crossover.
Yeah.
But here at Two Eaters Reading Comics, we're not giant fans of crossovers because that means you're gonna have to buy a billion different comics and just to get the whole story. And I feel like everything should just be one contained story.
And that's something that hurt me with DC when we were reading all of our comics.
Oh yeah.
Was you have to have this comic to know what happened in the rest
Especially
of
if
this
you want to
comic.
read Batman. That's what kind of
Batman,
that's
Flash did it real
yeah,
bad.
That's what kind of burnt me out
yeah.
on Batman. But that's more discussion for next week.
Yep.
But yeah. So I guess we'll see y'all next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.
It's not Wednesday.
Tuesday. Fuck.
He'll leave this in. He fucked up real bad. It's on Tuesday. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.